Hey everyone! So today I want to talk a little bit about the new Pete Davidson movie called The King of Staten Island. And in particular, I want to talk about how it handles the topic of childhood grief. So Pete Davidson is, of course, a cast member on Saturday Night Live. And he has said that this new movie is about 75% autobiographical. He was involved in the creation of the movie, and plays the lead character, a young man named Scott. So Pete himself lost his firefighter dad in the World Trade Center on 9/11 when he was 7 years old, and he's now in his 20s. And in the movie, we meet the character Scott, who also lost his firefighter dad when he was 7 years old, although they did not set the movie in the context of a 9/11 loss. And when we meet Scott, he is 24 years old and living in the basement of his widowed mom on Staten Island. And there's several things I noticed that I think really ring true about childhood grief. So first of all, in the opening scenes of the movie, he's sitting in the basement with some friends of his and playing video games and hanging out. And the friends start joking about Scott's dad dying. In fact, I think one of them makes a joke, something like, "Knock, knock, who's there? Not your dad, he's dead." And then Scott laughs. But you can see that he's kind of trying to put on a face, like with his friends. He's decided he's not really going to show them how this has affected him, and he's like, "Hey, it's cool, I don't care, you can joke about my dad." But you can kind of see that it really does, it is bothering him. And this is something that I hear from a lot of kids, widowed parents, that their kids struggle with, that this issue of like how to navigate relationships at school, and kids are awkward and they don't know what to say, and then the kids don't know how to react. And so that part of the movie really ranked too. And I do think it's important to talk to kids and give them some, maybe do some role playing about, if this or this comes up in conversation at school or with other kids, here's some answers that you might have ready to try to make the situation a little less awkward. The second thing I noticed is this topic of, if you have multiple kids in a family, you could very well have multiple different experiences of grief, and how those kids are experiencing the loss. So in Scott's case, in the movie, he was 7 when his dad died. He has a younger sister who was just a baby, and in the movie we see she's actually just graduated from high school and getting ready to leave for college, and Scott still seems, kind of lost. Like I said, he's living at home and, trying to figure out what to do with his life. And they have, I think, a really insightful scene. Scott says something like, "You're the lucky one because you never knew Dad, and you don't know how awesome he was, and you don't really know what you're missing." But the sister says, "You're the lucky one. You got to know Dad. At least you have some memories. I don't even have any memories of him, really, any pictures besides maybe a couple when I was a baby." And then she says something else interesting, because it's apparent that Scott has been struggling for a long time. And she says something like, he says, "When am I ever going to get a break?" And she says, "Are you kidding me? Like, life has been all about you and your problems for so long." She said, "I got completely ignored in my childhood." She feels like basically Scott was taking up so much air in the room that she was ignored and kind of had to become much more independent. So I think being aware of the fact that if you have more than one kid in a family, you're probably going to have more than one experience of grief, more than one set of struggles. One kid might need this, one kid needs that, one struggles with this, one struggles with that. And so for, a parent to not assume that everybody has the same needs, and kind of, that it's okay for people to need different things or handle their grief differently. And then the third thing I noticed in the movie is the relationship with the new boyfriend. So when this movie starts, the dad in the family has died 17 years ago, and it appears that the mom, she hasn't remarried, and it appears she maybe hasn't really dated anybody in that time, and she ends up dating someone who is a firefighter, and this is really hard for Scott, because he says, Dad died and you haven't dated anybody for 17 years, and now the first guy you date is a firefighter. He's pretty upset about that. But the thing that I really noticed was kind of the way the dynamics that, the mom brings the new boyfriend into the family's life, and all of a sudden she starts pressuring Scott to move out, kind of kicking him out of the house. And it doesn't appear to me that, she's doing this like on her own and saying, I think it's time for you to move out. It really appears to me like the new boyfriend has kind of come in and is kind of calling the shots a little bit. And in fact, when they sit down at the table, the mom, the boyfriend, and Scott, the son, the boyfriend starts talking about how he needs to move out and get his act together and stuff. And everything that I've learned, people that I've interviewed, since starting the podcast, is that it's really important that the parent, in this case the mom, do that kind of parenting with the son, and not, in this case it isn't even a step parent, it's a new partner, just someone she's dating, that he shouldn't be, coming in and trying to parent the 24-year-old. So that was, interesting and kind of difficult to watch as well. So overall, I think that, you could kind of say that the movie is a portrait of unresolved grief in a family, and it's pretty clear that the mom, the son, and the daughter are all struggling 17 years later for various reasons. And I think it's important to watch to kind of understand, it's not, of course, that every family who has a parent die is going to have this situation. That's not at all the case. Everybody can have very different experiences, and some might do a better job coping and integrating their loss, and some might struggle more. This, I think, is a portrait of what that struggle can look like and what unresolved grief can do to a family and to the people in the family. So I'd encourage you to watch it. It does hit pretty close to home at times. I actually found myself tearing up and hoping that my kids didn't walk in the room because, like I said, it was pretty real and raw, but worth watching. And I hope this discussion has been helpful. I do think there's a lot that we can learn from other people's experiences and journeys. And if you're a widowed parent and you're looking for more resources on childhood grief and about widowed parenting, I would encourage you to check out the podcast. It's called the Widowed Parent Podcast, and you can learn more at widowedparentpodcast.com. And of course, it's available on Apple Podcasts and Google Podcasts and Spotify and your favorite podcast app. So all for now. Hope you're having a great day. See ya.